Hi, my name is Dave Erickson. I'm a Libertarian candidate for the House of Representatives for California's 25th Congressional District for the '06 election. Today I want to talk to you about some of the issues that are important to me. In general, my position on most issues is the same as that of the National Libertarian Party, except for open borders, which I am not in favor of. But I want to talk about some of the other issues that are especially important to me. Okay, the first issue, which is the most important issue in my opinion, is government involvement in education. All federal government involvement in education, which is primarily of concern to me since I'm running for a federal office, is already unconstitutional. So all we need to do is abolish it to get back in accordance with the Constitution. But I want to go a step farther than that and propose a constitutional amendment to also eliminate all state involvement in education, which isn't currently unconstitutional. The reason I want to do that is because on the issue of education, it's too important to even allow the state governments to be involved, because government schools and the brainwashing and dumbing down of Americans that occurs in government schools is the root cause of virtually every other problem in this country, which is precisely why education is the most important issue. If Americans weren't so brainwashed and dumbed down by government schools, they would know things like, for example, that virtually all the news that they get from the mainstream media is either incomplete, irrelevant, biased, or at worst outright lies. And they would be better informed and knowledgeable on subjects like economics, foreign affairs, and would be in a much better position to make informed decisions when voting and in other areas. The next issue I'd like to talk about is abolishing the Federal Reserve. If Americans weren't completely brainwashed and dumbed down by government schools, as I discussed in the previous segment, they would already know the answer to this issue, but the Federal Reserve is a complete abomination. It's a private organization which is allowed to create money legally, create money out of thin air, and charge the rest of us for using that, which is obviously unfair to everybody else who doesn't belong to the Federal Reserve. The Constitution requires that the United States use gold and silver for money, which is what we all should use, and abolish the Federal Reserve, and that would solve most of the economic problems in this country. The next issue I'd like to talk about is repealing the 16th and 17th Amendments to the Constitution of the United States. The 16th Amendment is the one that authorized the IRS, the income tax. If the federal government was scaled back to its constitutional boundaries, we could finance the federal government on about 15 to 20% of what our federal budget currently is. And it would be easy to finance the federal government simply with tariffs and other methods that were used prior to the institution of the income tax in 1913. And that way we could just get rid of the Internal Revenue Service completely. The 17th Amendment is the amendment that allowed for a direct election of senators by the electorate, as opposed to being selected by the state legislatures, which is the way it had been done before the 17th Amendment was passed. By taking away the right of the state legislatures to select the senators, it greatly diluted the power of the states and increased the power of the federal government, which is contrary to the way it should be and the way it was originally specified in the Constitution. The Founding Fathers had it the way they had originally for a purpose, and the 17th Amendment screwed it up. The last item I want to talk to you about today is the method that we have for electing politicians. The current method is biased in favor of the Republicans and Democrats and discourages voters from voting for third-party candidates because they feel they're wasting their vote. There are numerous methods such as instant runoff voting, plurality voting, and various other methods that will reduce the wasted vote mentality that so many voters have when they're voting for third-party candidates, and make it much easier for third-party candidates to get elected, which will greatly increase the competition if more third-party candidates are elected. Today I've talked to you about several issues that are important to me and I think should be important to everyone in the 25th District, especially the issue about separation of education and state, but the others are important also. So I'm asking you to vote for the Libertarian candidate, David Erickson, on Election Day in November. For everyone who wants to return the federal government back to its constitutional limitations and make life better for everyone in the 25th District. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation, and remember to vote Libertarian.